Universal Epic Universe is getting back on track after pausing construction briefly for Hurricane Milton as it passed through Central Florida last week. Despite enduring heavy winds and excessive rain from this devastating storm, the worksite appears to have avoided any catastrophic damage. Let's check in on some of the effects of the storm, as well as some new elements that have recently been added to Dark Universe and more in today's news update. Hurricane Milton may now be in the rearview mirror, but many in Florida are still reeling from its effects. The Universal Orlando Resort area received over 10 inches of rain and experienced wind gusts over 80 miles per hour. In the days following, we could see minor damage to street signs, downed trees, and general debris throughout the area. But the theme parks did reopen on Friday after being battered by the storm Wednesday night through Thursday morning. At the Epic Universe site, a couple miles south of the current resort, some minor flooding could be found in a construction staging lot across the street from the theme park area itself. Since this lot is not yet fully developed, it may lack the drainage capabilities that are seen in the theme park areas, which were not as negatively affected by the rain. Here is where many of the themed items and supplies are being stored for work on the new theme park, which is still set to open in 2025. And only a small section of this staging lot was filled with water when these photos were taken on Friday of last week. In some of the other areas of the staging lot, we can see that the fabric had been previously removed from the tents in preparation for the storm, like this one where foam blocks are being sculpted for the park. Here we can also see some ice trees for Super Nintendo World, as well as these colorful panels. Also staged in this lot across from the theme park are these Universal Classic Monsters statues of the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman. These statues were once on display in front of the former Monsters Cafe at Universal Studios Florida before it closed to become part of the new Minion Land. We're not sure yet if these statues will be utilized at Dark Universe at Epic Universe, or are just being staged here for safekeeping. I have had a theory that these figures may find a new life on display within the team member support building that's located behind Dark Universe, which permits indicate will contain a team member grill that serves fresh pizza. Looking towards the actual theme park areas for Epic Universe and starting within the central areas of the park called Celestial Park, the water levels in the central lagoons had risen from rainwater. What was once clear and sparkling water within this central lagoon just a week earlier had become muddy from the storm. The results were worse 2 years ago when Hurricane Ian passed through, while the park's progress was much less further along. The park's drainage systems have improved since these pictures of the aftermath of that storm were taken 2 years ago. For Milton, most leftover waters have been relegated to within the water features of the park and the retention ponds that surround it, which appear to be doing their job as designed. 2 days later, in newer aerial photographs, we can see that many of these lagoons have already been drained for cleaning. Looking to see what progress we can spot around the park this week, it appears that the plywood that was covering the turntable floor of the Constellation Carousel has been removed, revealing the celestial designs around the round floor. Here is how this turntable floor appears in official renderings for this attraction. Ride seating does not appear to have been installed yet at this time. Trees have been planted atop this unique foam berm around the side of the park's central lagoon. At the base of this berm structure, a zigzag pattern of wiring has been installed, connected to light points throughout. This wall of sparkle lights will be covered in a green material, similar to the section on the other side of the lagoon, which is further along. A sample of this finished look of the foam berm can be seen at the staging lot across the street. And here is how the complete foam berm appears in official renderings for this area. Like the central lagoon, the basin for the park's large fountain display was also filled with muddy water from the rain, as well as the Neptune pool located in front of the Atlantic restaurant, and the Luna Overlook waterfalls near the front of the park. The Neptune pool in front of Atlantic can be seen drained in this newer photograph taken just 2 days later. A glass dome is almost fully installed over one of the two covered walkways in front of the entrance shops at the front of the park. One of the two towers atop this building appears to have lost its tarp covering, revealing its appearance underneath. Prep for the pouring of a large circular courtyard just inside the park after passing through the main portal is happening now. This future entry area courtyard can be seen here in front of the Luna statue along with her bunny. The round courtyard on the front side of the Kronos Arch is much further along. The American flag was removed from the top of the Kronos Arch in preparation for the storm. This flag was installed a few months ago to celebrate the topping off of this entry structure. Platforms were removed from much of the scaffolding around all of the Epic Universe site in preparation for this storm. This gives us a better look of work happening behind the scaffolding in multiple areas. One of these things that are easier to see now is the shooting star icon for Stardust Racers, the park's dual-track racing coaster. New footage of Stardust Racers shows two trains dueling at night with what appears to be onboard lighting tests. These trains are illuminated using multiple colors, like red and blue, for this test. The statue in front of the Helios Grand Hotel is something else that is easier to see, as parts of its scaffolding and coverings around it were removed for the storm. Some plank-style sections of the walkway are visible here, leading from the hotel to the courtyard in front of the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant at the back of the park. Quickly checking in on each of the other worlds of Epic Universe, here is a look at the star-shaped courtyard in front of the Super Nintendo World portal, still in progress. As pointed out in our previous update, here is a closer view of the Mario Fountain, which can be seen near the exit for Super Nintendo World. It looks as though these coins may rotate as part of this fountain display. This fountain is located directly between the portal into Super Nintendo World and the Superstar Store, a Nintendo-themed gift shop that faces the central hub of the park. Inside of the land, the Yoshi's Adventure ride has had its ride vehicles covered up ahead of the storm. A spiny figure can be seen here in the middle of the Yoshi ride. Despite being filled with dozens of colorful animated figures, there doesn't appear to be any apparent damage easily visible for these animatronics upon first inspection. Many construction materials look as though they may have been covered prior to the storm, and much of the area does seem to be waterlogged from excessive rain, but no flooding is visible within the worlds of the park. Bowser's Fortress continues to see his face installed, with a section that could be the framing for his snout staged on the ground in front. Behind this area, the entry arch at the entrance to the Donkey Kong Country area of Super Nintendo World can now be seen taking shape. Here is how this entry arch appears in official concept renderings for the area. With the platforms temporarily removed from scaffolding for the storm, we're getting a better look at the face for the waterfall at the top of the Golden Temple at the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness roller coaster, which appears to be in the process of being painted. Moving into Dark Universe, platforms were removed from the scaffolding in front of the large manor, making it a little easier to see some of the details on this structure's central tower. This building is the entrance into Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment, which will be an indoor ride taking place in the massive ride building located behind the manor facade. Some of the scaffolding platforms were already being added back as these photos were taken a few days ago. Looking closely at the top, the 4 smaller peaks can be seen around the top of the tower. These 4 peaks are where we expect to see electricity-themed lighting effects. Street lamps can be seen installed in the ride's extended queue, located behind the manor on the left. More landscaping was recently added surrounding the ride's exit path on the right side of the manor facade. Checking in on the other ride for Dark Universe, a spinning roller coaster named Curse of the Werewolf, new tent coverings have been added over the ride's final brake run. This purple material is likely only the first inner layer for a multi-layer canopy. Some rain and tree debris can be seen on the tent covering from the storm. In the background, we can see a downed tree within the queue for this coaster. Quickly peeking into the wizarding world of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic, here is a large doorway on the right side of the land. During construction a year ago this month, this is what this doorway looked like from the back side, with a clear opening passing all the way through. Now though, in 2024, the doorway appears to have been fully covered up in the back. If and when a new experience is added to this Wizarding World land in the future, within the large expansion plot on the right side of the land, it has been expected that this would have been the main entrance to it. On the other side of the land, here is a look at the Butterbeer cart, which was only recently added. The plywood that was covering this street has been removed, revealing the textured concrete design for this area. Only the section located underneath the Butterbeer cart appears to have had its color added, with the rest of the street still unpainted. In the final world for the park, How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, its lagoons also appeared muddy after the rain, but there was no flooding here as well. In photos taken just 2 days later, it seems as though the lagoon water for this area has been cleaned up and is no longer looking brown. In fact, pumps can be seen spraying filtered water back into the lagoon in multiple areas around the perimeter of this water feature. New dragon-themed carved colorful poles can be found in the center of the play area named Viking Training Camp. 2 of the coaster trains can be seen behind this play area in this photo, parked on the second launch for Hiccup's wing gliders. 2 more coaster trains can be seen parked on their way back into the station, and a 5th train can be spotted sitting underneath the roof of the ride's first launch. Additional colorful awnings have been installed over the extended queue for the land's boat ride, named Fire Drill. While it can be hard to understand the full extent of possible damage as seen in aerial photographs taken from a helicopter, it doesn't appear that Epic Universe was too negatively affected by the storm. The Volcano Bay Water Park at the original resort area seemed to sustain some cosmetic damage, like this missing canopy near its entrance. All of the theme parks for Universal Orlando were able to open on Friday, October 11th, just a day after the storm passed through the area. This is thanks to the amazing work of team members who worked fast not just to get the parks ready, but also somehow set up everything needed for Halloween Horror Nights that night, including entire scare zones. So from all of us, thank you. That's going to wrap it up for this update, but a huge thank you to BioReconstruct for the amazing aerial photographs. You can follow him on social media for more theme park photos. Be sure to leave a like on this video and comment if you're enjoying our coverage of the new park. And make sure you're subscribed to never miss an update. For even more information, as well as behind-the-scenes posts, your name in the credits, and more, consider joining our Patreon to support what we do. Patreon.com/themeparkstop. Thanks for watching. See you next time.